In this box is the Jackery Explorer 300. Let's open it up and take a look at what we get inside. So we'll peel it open and immediately got a little case. We'll come back to that in a second. And underneath it, you have the little Jackery battery pack itself. Let's take a look in this nice little carrying case, see what's in here. Looks like we have a user manual, which is always important. You have a 12-volt charger for charging in your vehicle. You have an AC charger for charging at home. While I did buy my original Jackery 240 about 6 years ago now for full price, this one was given to me, and this is a sponsored video. The size and form factor of the Jackery E300 make it ideal for applications where you want to move it from place to place, or you want a compact source of power. And then the fact that it's got this big carrying handle on the top makes it super easy for climbing up places, like to your rooftop tent. And the fact that this uses lithium NMC battery chemistry, which is a much more energy dense form of battery, means that it is also lighter. The capacity of this battery is 293 watt hours, which is about the equivalent to 23 amp hour 12 volt battery. On the front, we have a screen that shows the current state of charge. You can see this one's currently at 100%. You got a little visual representation of the battery there. And then we have the number of watts going in and out. So if I was to plug this in, a little number would pop up here on the output showing how many watts is being pulled. And we can calculate roughly how long this battery would last by dividing 293, that's the number of watt hours this has, by the number of watts that's being pulled, and that leaves the hours. On the front, you can see we've got a bunch of outputs. So we've got two USB-A outputs, one USB-C that's up to 60 watts. There is the 12-volt DC cigarette lighter adapter there that's up to 10 amps. And then we've got the two AC 110-volt outputs. These are up to 300 watts continuous or 500 watts on a surge. So now that's up in the tent, what would you use it for? Well, the thing I see most people using for is to charge cell phones, first of all, because you've got a nice compact source of power that you can take up with you. You can plug your phone in, leave it charging overnight. Actually, I could do both mine and my wife's phones at the same time because there's plenty of USB outputs on here. I can do 16 phone charges out of this thing with your average cell phone. So I've got that charging. I also have a little USB input in my tent, so I can plug that in and turn on the lights in here, which are on right now. So if you want to see in the dark, we've got a little source of power there. Let's get my phone charging, plug that in down there. Got one of my little action cams because I use those all the time. And then the most power hungry of all is my drone. So we'll get that going on the first charger at the top, the USB-C PD charger there. And yeah, they're all charging here. And of course you can charge other things with the USB outputs too. The USB-C output in particular is useful if I wanted to come up here and work. I could plug my MacBook or any other laptop that runs off USB-C into this, and it'll keep me going. It means I can stay up here and work for longer. Or if you don't feel like working, you could plug something in like a Nintendo Switch or your kid's Nintendo Switch, you know, whatever your excuse is. I'm not going to judge. And you can play that up in your tent. Keep that going as well. I'm playing Mario Kart right now, and I'm winning. So let me just finish this race and then we'll continue the video. Oh, someone's red shelled me. The multiple USB outputs are also great if you want something like a fan going on you at night. If it's hot like it is here in Kentucky right now, it's pretty miserable. I am a big fan of the little USB fans. The pun was not intended there, because you can take something like this and you can clip it onto the side of your tent, or in this case, kind of strap it onto the side of the tent and blow this on you in the night, and it makes things feel a lot better while you sleep. And it doesn't pull a ton of power. You know, right now, 6 watts. It's going to run this thing for hours. It'll run 2 of these things, actually, for days. Of course, if this isn't enough for you, you can go with a bigger fan, thanks to the inverter. So I've got this thing. I can plug this in and get this blowing on me. Plug it in here, turn the inverter on, get the fan going, and then got air coming at me from both sides. Oh, that's much better. And that's pulling, when I subtract the 6 watts, about 38 watts to this thing. But what if it is really hot? We could plug something like this in. That's probably what I'd take on a day like this. In fact, Oh, there we go. You probably can't hear a thing I'm saying because of the wind noise. It feels pretty good. I might have to take this camping with me. Of course, you can use the inverter for more realistic things as well. Something like a CPAP machine is something I see a lot of people using a Jackery battery for. It does depend on the machine you've got. Some of the more efficient ones with the humidifier off can last up to around 9 hours, whereas some of the less efficient ones, especially if you're running that humidifier, you're looking at less. You may end up going as low as 4 to 5 hours. So you'd have to look at your machine and see how much power it pulls. You can actually do a rough estimate of how long this will run your machine, device, whatever it is that you want to charge or power. And you do it by taking the 293 watt hours of capacity and then simply dividing it by the number of watts that whatever it is you're powering pulls. So you divide the watt hours by the watts, leaves you with the hours, and that's just a rough idea of how long it'll last. Back in the air conditioning and out of the Kentucky summer heat, I can show you that heated blankets will work with this too. So this is a 120 volt AC heated blanket. You can also run 12 volt off here too if you want. And I'm just going to crank it straight up to high heat. On these ones, for some reason, they tend to pull a lot more when they first turn on, and after about 5 minutes, they drop down. So on initially turning up, we have about 70 to 72 watts being pulled, and it is already dropping down. And realistically, you're not going to be able to run this all night. So at 70 watts, the amount it pulls when you first turn it onto high, you're looking at about 4 hours runtime. And really the way I would use this is in something like a down sleeping bag. If you can just warm it up before you get into it, it makes a huge difference. So I'd shove this into the down sleeping bag, we'll put it under the down sleeping bag, turn it on, get that sleeping bag warm so that when I get in, it's not taking my body heat to warm it up. And if you do really want to run it all night, you can switch it to low, and it goes down to about 33 watts. So you're looking about 8-9 hours of runtime with that. One of the nice things about having such a portable battery with you is it means if there's something you want to power that's away from your campsite, you can easily grab it and move it away. So for example, with Starlink, it doesn't work very well if you're camped out underneath some trees. So you could take the dish, the battery, and set it up out in the open so it can connect to the satellites. This one is the regular dish, the V3, and it's pulling on average, looks like around 60 watts. It's jumping between about 55 and 65 watts, and it might be a little higher because I have set it up kind of close to the vehicle here. So based on that, you're looking at around 4 hours worth of runtime with this one. If you had the mini dish, that pulls a lot less power, less than a third of the power this one does. So you could easily run Starlink basically your entire time that you're at camp with that one. It is worth mentioning with the mini, you'd still have to use the adapter that came with and run it off the inverter on here. And it doesn't just have to be for Starlink. I always used to set up my Julka shower unit away from camp so I didn't get it all muddy right where I was. And I'd plug into the little 12 volt outlet on my Jackery 240. Even things like my camera. If I'm setting up a camera for a time lapse overnight, I want it to stay powered. So I take a little battery pack and set it next to the camera so it stays charged. And it probably goes without saying that you can, of course, plug a 12 volt fridge into the 12 volt outlet of the Jackery too, if you wanted to leave it in the back of the vehicle with the fridge like this. And the actual runtime is really going to depend on the power draw of your fridge and the ambient temperature, more importantly. On a hot day like this, I'd probably get around 12 hours of runtime out of this little Jackery. On cooler days, it's going to be a lot longer because the fridge isn't going to be running nearly as long. In the last Jackery video I did, I had several people asking whether you could jump start a vehicle with it. And the answer is mostly no, but also a little bit yes. You cannot jump start a vehicle with it, but you can use something like this, which is a little battery tender, a little battery charger, and you can plug it into the vehicle and you can charge up the vehicle's starter battery using this. Now, if your battery is completely dead, as in it's been sitting around for 5 years and won't hold any kind of charge, then that's not going to work like a jump start would. But if you've just been driving around and accidentally let your battery get low overnight, that's when something like this would work. Once you've used all your power, then it's time to think about charging. You have 3 options when it comes to charging. The first that it comes with is the plug-in wall charger for home. This will give you about 80 watts input, so you're looking around 4.5 hours of charge time with this setup, but you can reduce it to about 2.5 hours of charge time with a higher power charger and with the USB-C that can actually be used as an input. It also comes with a little 12-volt adapter that you can use to charge the Jackery. So I can plug that in the back of my vehicle. I've got here, got a little 12-volt outlet that's right there next to where I've got the Jackery stored, and I can plug it in there. And what's really nice about doing it this way is if I am running something like a fridge off it while the vehicle's off, whether it's parked overnight or I've just got out to do something, the fridge is going to run off the Jackery, and then when I start the vehicle up, the Jackery is automatically going to start charging just because of the way this vehicle is set up. This is only on when the vehicle is on. And when this is charging, this puts in a peak of about 80 watts. And you're looking at around 5 hours to go from absolutely dead battery to fully charged, assuming you're not running anything else off this. Finally, you have the option of charging from the sun using some solar panels. In this case, I've got Jackery's Solar Saga 200 watt solar panels, which is held together magnetically with a little clip in the middle. They've got two little legs on the back that I can use to prop them up so that they're facing the sun like this. And then I take the little adapter and I can plug it in the front, and I'm getting power from the sun now. On the end of the panel here, you've got like a little target that tells you how to position the panel. It's got a black dot in the middle and then a couple of rings on the inside. And what you're looking for is the shadow of the black dot to fall on the inner ring. If it doesn't, it tells you the panels need moving. So you might need to move the panels left or right to face the sun. You might need to tip them forward or even tip them way back using the adjustable legs on the back until that little dot falls in the center. With it being pretty much noon, pretty much in the middle of summer, decided to lay the panels down since the sun's almost directly overhead. And we are maxed out at 134 watts into the battery. That is probably a limitation of the battery itself, not the panels. You probably squeeze out a few extra watts on some of Jackery's bigger battery packs. But even at 134 watts, this thing's gonna be charged in just a few hours. Nice thing about this panel is, even though I am maxed out on the battery's input, I still can use some more power. So it does have a USB-A and a USB-C output on the panel itself. So if I wanted to charge something else while charging the Jackery with this, I can just plug them in here and it'll pull directly from the panel. These panels are also waterproof, which is nice because it means that you don't have to worry about leaving them out. I had a set in the past that weren't waterproof, and I had to get up in the morning, set them up to catch the sunrise because I didn't want them getting rained on in the night, whereas these ones you can just leave out. The only thing you have to be careful of is to make sure the battery itself is protected from the rain, which is not too difficult since it's got a nice long extension cord there that you can use to put it inside the vehicle or inside the tent. These are also surprisingly efficient. Right now it is overcast and it's actually raining a little bit, and I'm still getting 32 watts in from these panels. It's definitely worth mentioning that with all of Jackery's batteries, you can charge them and run them at the same time. So if you need it for a backup power supply at home, you can use them for that. Or in this case, I can run the fridge off the Jackery here. And when the vehicle's off, it is pulling power from the battery inside it. But when the vehicle is on and running, it'll start charging from the 12 volt, and I can just leave the fridge plugged into it and the fridge will pull power as it needs it. If this is something that you're interested in, then I will put links to it in the description. And if you actually buy direct from Jackery, you get an extra year of warranty, so it's worth checking that out too. And if you're sitting at home and thinking, this is cool, but not quite enough power, then subscribe to the channel because I have another video coming soon that you need to keep your eye out for, where I check out the Explorer 2000 V2, which has a lot higher capacity than this. Thanks for watching.